Hi, my name is Alex Carlucci with Gustan Associates. Going to talk to you about waiting periods for FHA and VA on foreclosures and bankruptcies. I also want to say what happens if you actually foreclose on a VA loan. So let's start with FHA and VA waiting periods. So if you foreclose on a house on FHA, you have to wait 3 years from the date, not the date you walked out the door, not the date the sheriff knocked at your door, the date that the deed was transferred out of your name, which can happen the next day after the sheriff throws you out, or it can happen 6 months later. I've seen a year or two even sometimes. So it's when the bank takes the deed out of your name and puts it in their name, or transfers it to another buyer. So that's the date that you have to wait 3 years from. You can't have an application dated 1 day before, an hour before that day. And you can't have a purchase contract before that either. So you have to wait 3 years from that date. VA is only 2 years from that date, so that's a good thing about VA. Now, if you foreclose, so VA's got 2 years, FHA 3 years. Now, what happens if you foreclose on a VA loan and your certificate of eligibility doesn't have the full $36,000 entitlement, which allows you to get up to $483,000 with 100% financing in most counties? So what happens is they're going to knock down that $36,000 eligibility, which means nothing to you and me. That $36,000 means full entitlement. Let's say it's chopped down to $4,000. Well, VA works in really funny ways here. So VA will still let you buy a house, but not your full amount. But it won't let you buy a lower amount either. It takes you into this bonus area, and it's really hard to explain. And we have to call VA every time that we see this. So if I don't see the full 36 entitlement, I have to call VA and find out what is your entitlement. And what I'm finding out, which is really odd, is like, for example, if someone foreclosed on a $100,000 house, their $36,000 entitlement went down to $4,000. So I thought they wouldn't qualify for much, maybe a $50,000 house. Well, it's actually weirder than that. 0 to 144,000, they didn't qualify for anything. They couldn't buy that small of a house. They had to buy something for 144,000 minimum, up to 356, which 356 is not the original 483. So they lost the 356 to the 483, and they lost 0 to 144, and they can only qualify for something at least 144, but no greater than 356. So when it comes to foreclosing on an old VA loan, you may still be eligible, but it's going to be in that weird kind of a sector. So we have to call the VA when we get your certificate of eligibility back, and it tells you what your entitlement is. We have to call them, and they're going to tell us what you have to buy. So you may have to buy more than you want to buy, even though you want to buy less. It doesn't make sense, but that's how the VA works. So that's what happens when you foreclose on a VA loan. And you still have to wait the 2 years from that date, and then you can qualify for whatever the VA approves you for. So that's the foreclosure rules and on the VA. Bankruptcy, it's 2 years from discharge for a Chapter 7 for FHA and 2 years discharge from VA, and they're both the same when it comes to a manual underwriting if you're in a Chapter 13. If you're in a Chapter 13 for 1 year, you've shown 12 months payment on time, you're good to go. So you can do 1 year while you're in a 13, so 1 year after you've been in a 13, all the way till it's discharged, till whenever. And when you're in a Chapter 7, you have to wait 2 years from discharge date. So they're both the same when it comes to the time frame. And that's my story today. So I hope you like this video. Go to gustanshow.com to see more blogs and videos at gustancho.com, or call me anytime at 630-915-7550.